Hello, people of Australia, people of the world. This is an address specifically for the Chief of Army and extending to the Chief of Defence, Chief of Navy, Chief of Air Force of all nations experiencing corrupt governance in an attempt to create a new world order. I sit here in these clothes with my medals and my beret that I earned as a Commando in the Australian Defence Force. But I sit here today as a sovereign, as recognised and documented, and a document notarised by Notary of Public and recognised, and to be recognised in all international courts. I sit here as a sovereign, as a free man, and not as a part of any organisation. I sit here and I pass on a message from the Creator at this time in history, being the 4th day of the 4th month in the year 2020. First I'll read the initial channeled message, and then I will go on to read the edited, amended version. These messages came through 2 days ago, and I pass them to you now. And I'm passing this message on in fear of consequences, that if I do not, that I shall be subject to the punishment ascribed to the message recipients. This is a message from the Supreme Cosmic Authority. Sir, Chief of Army, Chief of Land, your options are to honour your oaths to man versus honouring your covenant with God, and the choice is yours, and no one shall make this decision for you, and a hard decision it is. A message from God, whom is represented by we the people, commands you as the protector of the constitutional Commonwealth, being comprised of we the people, as per section 5, as per subsection 17, subsection 18, and subsection 444 of the Australian Commonwealth Constitution Act, to act and adhere to the commands of God and under your constitutional duty, as in accordance with section 51 VI, to protect the Commonwealth, to arrest and charge the foreign private corporate de facto belligerent government, and to protect the people's lives as per your oath to God, so help you God. You may not assault nor attack the sovereign or quasi-sovereign people of this land, so help you God. You shall protect and serve them, so help you God. Nor your soul shall be cast into the abyss for near eternity, so help you God. Nor shall anyone attempt to dismay or delay this transmission, so help you God. A message from Source. This is not a drill. This is real life. We currently have a corrupt, unlawful, corporate, de facto, belligerent, judiciary, executive and legislative de facto government. Given the gravity, urgency and dangers of the situation at hand, I do not transmit this message lightly. The alleged government is playing out corporate acts and games with the property of God, being we the people. To the people, this is a message from the Cosmic Council of God, the supreme authority of the universe. We the people are to boycott corporate government despotism and all attached thereto, for breach of contract, breach of trust, for war crimes against humanity, being we the people, as in accordance with the doctrine of unanimous assent. Chief of Army, Sir. Chief of Defence. Chiefs of all nations suffering corruptions, but specifically, Chief of Army, Sir. Commander of the land. I was always taught to be cautious. Therefore, it is with grave reservation, but compelled by the consequences ascribed to you, which, if I do not pass on this transmission, shall pertain to me hereafter, such penalties of which I am not willing to entertain nor accept, due to the gravity and magnitude of those consequences. As it is your God-given duty to protect the people or the Commonwealth against all threats, both foreign and domestic, the following message from God, whom is represented here on earth by we the people, lawfully being the quasi-sovereign, lawfully being the states, lawfully being the Commonwealth, and lawfully being the Parliament, for which all legitimate governments deriving power must serve as per their prescribed roles as public servants, to wit, that is to say, servants of God, not masters of God or the people, as in accordance with, but not limited to, subsection 17, subsection 18, subsection 444 of the supreme law of the land, being the Constitution. And that the Constitution is above both Houses of Parliament, subsection 253 of the Constitution, and it must obey the laws of the Commonwealth, subsection 341, being the supreme law, and being we the people. We the people are defined as the Commonwealth. Reference subsection 17, subsection 18 and subsection 444 of that Constitution. With a reminder that no one is above the law or God, and that the Constitution is binding on every member of the community, including the members of the government, in their private capacities, as per subsection 18, and being the supreme law of the land, is binding on the courts, judges and people of every state, subsection 34 of the Constitution. Furthermore, as in accordance with section 5, subsection 33, not all enactments purporting to be laws are binding, but laws made under, in pursuance of, and within the authority conferred by the Constitution, and those only are binding on the courts, judges and people. Not private acts of Parliament, also known as legislation, public acts with royal assent only, and anything to change the Constitution as in accordance with section 128 of the Constitution must be done by referendum put to we the people, also known as representatives of God. A law in excess of authority conferred by the Constitution is no law. It is wholly void and inoperative. It confers no rights. It imposes no duties. It affords no protection. The Act, the Constitution itself, is binding without limitation or qualification because it is passed by the sovereign Parliament. But the laws passed by the Parliament of the Commonwealth, a subordinate Parliament, must be within the limits of the delegation of powers, or they will be null and void. subsection 33 and subsection 34 of that Constitution. At subsection 37 of that Constitution, laws of the Commonwealth include 1. The Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act. 2. Alterations of the Constitution pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 8. 3. Laws made by Parliament of the Commonwealth under the Constitution and laws of any state, subsection 36, must remain consistent with the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act. Also see section 106 to section 109 of that Constitution. A delegated power cannot again be delegated without the express consent of the principal, being we the people, the shareholders that comprise the Commonwealth. From Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, delegatus non potest delegare. A delegate cannot delegate. This is a maxim of law. The person to whom an office or duty is delegated cannot lawfully devolve the duty on another unless he is expressly authorised to do so. And he must be expressly authorised by we the people, the principal. If a power should so be devolved by the delegate without express consent of God, represented by we the people, it shall be taken prima facie that the delegate authority has assumed and reversed their role of public servant, being a servant of God, God being represented by the people, to that of being above God and above the people, and that those people now willfully act on their own accord, absent and contrary to the authority conferred from the beginning by God. That is to say, those people now act contrary to the will of God and shall bear full consequences and responsibility at the inevitable day of their reckoning. It is for the individuals addressed herein to decide in their private spiritual capacity whom they serve and which side of history they wish to be remembered, and post-humanism where they wish their soul to dwell. With respect to contracts and oaths to serve human authorities, if it is up to the individual to discern through the conscious use of its free will whether it will remain in service to a perceived master human or reconcile and remain in honour by serving its covenant with God through protection and preservation of human rights and life here on this planet. Preservation of covenant with God is directly reflected and decided by decisions and actions relating to the protection of civil and human right to choose and act expressively with free will according to the dictates of God. The diminishing or usurpation of such rights for any reason is a direct breach of your duty and covenant with God, and must be met and dealt with equally upon your reckoning as in accordance with the laws of nature, to wit, karmic law. As such, the choice is yours, sir. The power is in your hands, sir, and we the people will support you, sir. We the people, as direct representatives of Spirit God and as the principal shareholders of the Constitutional Commonwealth, command you, whom being charged by God and honour bound by your covenant with God, to act and adhere accordingly to the will of God, represented by we the people, and as in accordance with your constitutional obligation under section 51 VI, to arrest forthwith this foreign, private, corporate, belligerent, de facto, executive, legislative and judicial government, and to protect the people's lives and rights according to their individual free will, so help you God. You may not assault, attack or violate rights of any individual, sovereign, quasi-sovereign or citizen of this terror which is deemed Australia. So help you God. You shall protect and serve them, so help you God. Or by heaven forbid, your soul shall be cast into the depths of the abyss for near eternity, so help you God. Nor shall anyone attempt to dismay or delay this transmission, for they shall be liable to the same, so help them God. Sir, Chief of Army, Chief of Defence, Chief of Army specifically, Sir, you are hereby requested and instructed, resulting from your request to the higher realm in recent times, to disband and arrest this despotic, treacherous, treasonous and fraudulent corporation masquerading under colour of uniform and under colour of office as a de jure parliament, of which they hold no lawful authority to do, in order for the preservation of life and free will of God on earth as it is in heaven. In trust we put our faith in you, sir. You are further instructed to hold the powers of Parliament in trust for we the people until a new de jure Parliament can be reinstituted by free, unrestrained public votes within 24 months. You are further instructed to immediately implement a qualified and de jure caretaker government until such time as the aforementioned occurs, in accordance with the Constitution of the Australian Commonwealth, to wit, the fundamental supreme law which provide Parliament and all factions thereof government with authority to exist in the first place. Furthermore, you are required to uphold and enforce the supreme law by ensuring constitutional provisions, by restraining the executive from passing and enforcing any laws as in accordance with subsection 52 of that Constitution. The executive or police have no power to enact and pass laws, only to enforce them. Again, subsection 52 of that Constitution. Also, to ensure all executive branch operates under and in accordance with their common law oath as prescribed, and they may not enforce private acts of Parliament, that is to say legislation, as public officials, whilst dressed or presenting as police officers or constables. Sir, with all due respect, as in accordance with Army principles, you are hereby notified in public, in viva voce, and before God, that you shall act in honour, with integrity, courage, and altruism, and that you shall be divinely guided and protected on your path to truth, justice, and honour. So help me God. Here lies the biggest decision of your life. The choices we make today shall echo in eternity. Many blessings and Godspeed to you, sir. If you wish for proof of these statements, please feel free to contact me to arrange a meeting. Please contact by phone first, and if you come or send persons to my home, please approach in a friendly manner, as there are women and children in vicinity. Failure to act, and this is a message for the people of Australia, failure to act on the aforementioned by our defence force, who is charged with our defence, shall by default enact Article 61 of the Magna Carta, being lawful rebellion. From this moment forth, and the people in self-defence are immune from spiritual consequence and consequence in life hereafter. So be it. I will now read out Article 61 of the Magna Carta for the people of Australia. After I read it out in full, I will then give a brief explanation of my understanding of the Article 61. Article 61 of the Magna Carta. This is Chapter 44 of the Sources of English Constitutional History. The Magna Carta of which is still valid and in operation today in the Commonwealth of Australia. Article 61. Since moreover, for the love of God, for the improvement of our kingdom, and for the better allayment of the conflict that has arisen between us and our barons, we have granted all these liberties aforesaid, wishing them to enjoy those liberties by full and firm establishment forever. We have made and granted them to the following security, namely that the barons shall elect 25 barons of the kingdom, whomever they please, who to the best of their ability should observe, hold and cause to be observed the peace and liberties that we have granted to them and have confirmed by this our present charter, so that specifically if we or our justicer or our bailiffs or any of our ministers are in any respect delinquent toward anyone or transgress any article of the peace or the security, and if the delinquency is shown to 4 barons of the aforesaid 25 barons, these 4 barons shall come to us or to our justicers, or we are out of the kingdom, or if we are out of the kingdom, to explain to us the wrong, asking that without delay we cause this wrong to be redressed. And if within a period of 40 days, counted from the time that notification is made to us or our justicer, if we are out of the kingdom, we do not redress the wrong, or if we are out of the kingdom, our justicer does not redress it, the 4 barons aforesaid shall refer that case to the rest of the 25 barons, and those 25 barons, together with the community of the entire country, shall distress and injure us in all ways possible, namely by capturing our castles, lands and possessions, and in all ways that they can, until they secure redress according to their own decision, saving our person and the person of our Queen and the person of our children. And when redress has been made, they shall be obedient to us as they were before. And anyone in the land who wishes shall swear that, for carrying out the aforesaid matters, he will obey the commands of the 25 barons aforesaid, and that he, with his men, will injure us to the best of his ability, and we publicly and freely give license of this, swearing to everyone who wishes to do so, and to no one will we ever prohibit such swearing. Moreover, all of those of the land who of themselves and by their own free will are unwilling to take the oath for the 25 barons with them to distress and injure us, we will by our mandate cause to swear such an oath as aforesaid. And if any one of the 25 barons dies or departs from the lands, or in any way is prevented from carrying out these aforesaid matters, the rest of the 25 barons aforesaid shall, by their matters, shall by their own decision choose another in his place, who is to be sworn in the same way as the others. Moreover, in all the matters entrusted to those 25 barons for execution, if perchance the same 25 are present and disagree among themselves in some respect if certain of those summoned are unwilling or unable to be present, that which the majority of those present may provide or command, shall be held as settled and established, just as if all 25 had agreed to it, and the aforesaid 25 shall swear that they will faithfully observe all that has been set forth above, and neither of ourselves nor our others will procure from anyone anything whereby any of these concessions and liberties may be revoked or diminished. And should anything of the sort be procured, it shall be null and void, and we will never make use of it either of ourselves or through others. Now there have been letters to the Privy Council in England regarding this foreign corporate entity known as Australia, or known as the Commonwealth of Australia in all capital letters, in a foreign language, which is deception. There have been letters regarding the lawfulness of the government. The government has not responded. The government, at this point in time, is committing, or by deception and fraud, is coercing under duress the people to commit and partake in crimes against humanity, war crimes. They are operating non-judicially, unlawfully in their courts, in their executive, in their legislature. They are conspiring to overthrow the Constitution. They are acting in treason by transferring the property of the Commonwealth to foreign entities. Therefore, we shall give, by God, by the grace of God, the Chief of Army, the Chief of Defence, 11 days from this day forth to make their move or announce publicly that which they will do or not do. From the 15th of April 2020, Article 61 of the Magna Carta is enacted and in full force, and all people shall be immune spiritually and at law from anything they may do in the cause of self-defence and defence of our country, known as the terror which is deemed Australia. We have a foreign private corporate entity or belligerents, armed belligerents, called a police force, defined as demons in the Oxford Dictionary behind me, wearing upside down pentagrams representing Satanism and bestiality, operating on Australian soil. An ABN holding company, a foreign company, a trading company as defined by HCA 11 of 2015, registered to a foreign corporation, private. We have corporate councils operating unlawfully, contrary to 3 referendums where the people said no to local government. So we have corporate councils passing themselves off as government authority under colour of office and colour of uniform against the will of the people. Offences under the 1914 Crimes Act and the 1995 Criminal Code. We have a private foreign Commonwealth of Australia, a de facto passing private acts of Parliament, what they call legislation, enforced by contract, through deception, in conflict with the law of the land, that is to say, being constitutional prohibitions. We have a foreign-owned judiciary enforcing Admiralty maritime contract law upon the people by deception, coercion and duress on the land in peacetime, personating Commonwealth officers under colour of uniform and colour of office, not disclosing jurisdiction and ignoring the Constitution and the will of the people, conspiring to overthrow the Constitution. They are all conveying fraudulent documents in order to disseize, destroy and dismay the Commonwealth of Australia and its people through conversion of property unlawfully, removal of common law, which is the law of the land, removal of all human rights, the enacting of depopulation measures, of war crimes, all performed by manipulation, coercion and duress, creating this slave nation, all acting under statute, enforcing constitutional prohibitions, by willfully ignoring and acting contrary to self-executing constitutional provisions, acting as public officers whilst personating constables, judges, magistrates, etc. of the Commonwealth, in conflict with laws of the Commonwealth, common law, international law and human rights, commercial codes, criminal codes, Crimes Act, Geneva Convention, the list goes on. Our country has been usurped by a foreign private entity, unbeknownst to most, while enacting war crimes against the people without lawful excuse. This is an urgent message for the people domiciled upon the terra which is deemed Australia. It is not only our duty and our God-given right to protect and uphold the laws for the preservation of the peace and good governance of this once great nation. It matters not your sex, your race, your colour, your political standing, your religious views or beliefs. You are one of the people. You are valuable. You are loved by God. And all you do and stand for, whatever side that may be on, the light or the dark, will be written into the history books for time immemorial. So be it. God bless Australia. God bless the world. God bless the people. God bless the light.